Fem Talk Nation. How are you? Guess who's in New Jersey with the bestie?
Hello, Fem Talkers.
We are here. Welcome back to another Fem Talk episode. We are not going to delay this. We are going to bring in the beautiful Dr. Mimi Melissa Simmons.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Y'all in Jersey?
Hello. We are. I'm in Jersey. All the way from North Kakalaki.
North Kakalaki.
Yes.
Oh, I got to come see you.
Yes, you do. Come
Close.
on up. Come on up.
I can touch you.
So
yes.
as usual, everybody. Yes, we have a special show for you guys today, but we want to announce that it is Dr. Mimi Melissa Simmons' birthday.
Yay! Happy birthday!
we want to celebrate our beloved Dr. Simmons. So, what is on the agenda for the birthday this year?
Oh, what's on the agenda? My daughter is taking me to see a WNBA game. Yay!
Nice.
Very nice.
I think there's a delay.
That sounds like a great celebration.
Yeah, so we'll have fun. So we're going into the city. So anytime you go into the city, it's always fun. I think there's a delay. Yeah,
Absolutely agree. Yeah. All right. So you know what we do on this show every week, everyone.
You guys know how this show goes.
Hot.
Ooh, hot. And it is steaming hot. So I want to ask
really hot, you know.
the two of you, what do you think about the Supreme Court's decision that the president has some immunity? I did see our current president commented on this and said one of the words that he used in this, he said that this is dangerous. And I agree. I agree with our current president. But tell me what you guys think about this.
I'm just going to put my thumb down. Go ahead, Mimi.
Yeah. Thumbs down, big time. You know, you have to remember the Supreme Court.
And you're the example.
Yeah, go ahead, Shima. You were saying something?
It's going to be a little delay. We're sorry, guys. It's a little delay. I was just saying you're the example. So when we catch up, Mimi, you go ahead and give your answers.
I was gonna say it's dangerous. The Supreme Court needs to stop being biased because you know they're siding on the side of the person that put them there. You know, you have to walk the right road, because when the person you don't want is in office, you don't want that law to you don't want that to be the law of the land, right? So now you think because that's the person that put you there that you should side on his side. And what the three that was against the three liberals, as they call them, that were against the ruling, they said you in actuality created a king that has no ramifications for poor behavior. So I think that you know the more we see what just putting him in office has done, for anybody that thinks that this is going to get any better, you better wake up and smell the coffee, because this is getting worse.
Yeah.
And there's no pulling back once they, you know, you can't take all of this stuff back. It's the Supreme Court. So they're making rules now that only is serving their MO. And if somebody gets in office that you don't like, for them, it's going to work against you on the flip side. So I think this country is headed to a very dangerous state.
Saw that happen. Yeah, and we saw that happen during his first term, right? It came back to bite in the ass. Yep, I'm using that because this is late night television. It came back to bite them in the ass. The Republicans that put him in office the last time, it came back to bite them. So they really need to think about the decisions that they're making now and what can happen going forward because he is a president for himself, right? So I don't know what they feel like they're going to get out of this, pushing some agenda because he doesn't follow anybody's rules. Like, let's be clear about that. So I don't know what they think they're going to accomplish with this, but yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, this is a bad day for our country. This is a bad
So
day for
can
our
you still hear me?
I can hear you. It's a little spotty. It's a little spotty. It's coming in and out. But I think it's a bad day for the country. I think it's a bad for our constitution. It's a bad day for the we were supposed to have created a democracy that really was about the people and created a system that was fair and used wisdom and so much so we promoted around the world, right? Democracy and trying to push it in other countries. And now we've fallen back, and it shows you the power of one person and their ability to turn the course of a country, especially if they don't believe in the foundation of the country. We have He doesn't believe in the democracy of this country. He never did. And now it's playing itself out. And I saw this little clip, and you better be careful because we're heading on. This country itself is on the verge of a civil war. If we continue to do what's happening, we're on the verge of a civil war ourselves. So
Right. Okay. So we probably had a little delay. You said we're headed into a civil war, which is exactly where we were many years ago. The same,
yeah.
the same thought process, the same distress. Um, Almost feeling like we're at our wits' end.
Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly.
I, I don't even know. I don't even know how to articulate how that can happen at this day and age. I know what we should know. I know that we should be in a better place. Of course, if we're talking about things like racism and things like that and the way they treat us as humans, you would think that we would be in a better place. But how crazy and how stupid is it to think that it's okay to be this person, to show this in front of the entire world, and to take us back to a place where we thought we progressed from?
Yeah.
Another
Exactly.
Yeah.
civil war?
And a nation that is built on the backs of other cultures, right?
Absolutely.
Of course, on the backs of African Americans. But even now, as you come from slavery up to present day, and another culture that the former president has a problem with is the Mexicans, right? Where a lot of this country is now being built on their backs as well, right? And that's the makeup of this country. It was
That's how it became about.
the makeup of this country. So the nerve, right? The nerve and the gall, because where do you think we would be without these other cultures, without the African Americans, without the Mexican Americans, without some of the Hispanic Americans, right? Without some of the Asian Americans, where would we be,
Right.
right? If
Right.
we did not
The Indians, the Native Americans, the
have
Native Americans, right?
Exactly.
I mean, this is what this country is about.
Absolutely.
And to silence and create a go back. I mean, you want to go back, and um Ava DuVernay gave she was speaking a couple of weeks ago to, I believe it was Kelly Clarkson, and she talked about how Germany studied how the United States treated
Yeah.
the African Americans and created the slavery and how they separated us. And they used what the systematic approach that the United States created in order to develop his separation
Oh,
of the Jewish people from the Germans,
Yep.
and that's how and that's how the whole thing came about with trying to annihilate the Jewish culture. They
exactly.
studied us. They
Mm-hmm.
studied us, and we're right now right back to where it started.
Yeah.
So be careful. Be careful what now what six people have allowed
Yes.
in terms of six people that made that now not not sold on the Constitution, not committed to the Constitution, not committed to the country, committed to a man.
Mhm.
The Supreme Court was supposed to be above any political party,
Yeah.
Exactly.
above,
Non-biased too, right?
non-biased. They were supposed to look at the law
Yeah.
and judge the law based on the Constitution of the country,
Right.
and they're not that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely agree.
absolutely, it's sad, but just a little, just to lighten it up a little bit. Even what we were talking about, we could segue to another hot topic. And when you mentioned it, we were talking about, they built the back of this country on African Americans and now Mexicans and Native Americans. And in the I saw the BET Awards last night. There was a question asked: is this a black job or not?
Oh, that is a question. What is a black
That is what is a black job, and some of the things we had to chuckle at because we was like, yeah, that's a black job. And then
job?
Lamar came and asked me. He said, "I'm gonna ask you two questions. Is this a black job?" And he said, "A security guard that doesn't have a gun, is that a black job?"
Not that doesn't have a gun.
Right. Right.
Yeah. That's
That,
what.
right? Yeah, yes, that's a black
Want
job.
to give to the black people. So
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I
I
his
can.
hate.
next question is, wait, I'm gonna give you another one. Is this a black job? A person that builds a house.
That's it.
A person that
Mm,
house. I
the
wouldn't say
construction people that build houses.
no. No, no. That
Mm-mm.
if you go with stereotypes, I'm just gonna say that. If you go with the stereotype, then no.
Then no.
But it's like you categorize in a culture in one way, right? In one
Yeah,
a whole culture gets categorized.
they're categorized, and unfortunately, we see it play out. I know in the community that built all these houses. I don't believe I saw anybody of color in that. Well, not of this color, of
Right,
other colors, yes.
right, right.
Not of this color, no. So that was a joke that went around last night. I thought it was quite interesting, but we all got a good laugh from it. So the BET Awards was really good last night. I don't know, did y'all get to see it?
Oh.
I was in the airport. No.
Yeah. She spent her night in the airport.
I, I trying to get to New Jersey, but it was really good last night.
It was.
Taraji came out rapping. And she did a good job rapping. She had her grill on and everything, but she did a good job. I think her hosting was really good. My favorites was Will Smith. He came out with a new song with Sunday's Choir and Kurt Franklin,
Yeah.
and I thought they did you got to get that CD. It's the song is available on Apple, so you can download it. The tribute to Usher was really good. Let me tell you something. Keke Palmer killed it. Killed it. Keke Palmer, it was interesting. All women represented all of the songs he did, all of his big songs. So
Nice.
all the women came out and celebrated him. But I'm telling you, Keke Palmer, she can sing, she can dance, she can act. That is what you call a triple threat. And I would have liked to see her do the whole thing. She was phenomenal. And last but not least, Lauren Hill. Yes, she did show up and she sung and she rapped and the Fugees even was on there. Bam!
Nice.
Yes.
It
Nice.
was great. I said, go ahead, Lauren. She's a different person now. She's very, very political, you can tell. and I believe she's a Muslim because she was fully covered, so you couldn't see anything about her but her face. But let me tell you, she know how to rap and sing still, so she was excellent.
All right.
So that was the BET Award.
Right.
Yes, yes.
I absolutely love it. I have to go back and watch that.
Absolutely.
Had I really known, I could have watched it from the airport, quite honestly. But that's all right. We'll go back and watch that. But it's good. It's good to hear. It's good to hear that so many ladies came out,
Right.
and that they had all of the ladies
I was gonna
paying
say,
tribute
like,
to Usher,
To
right?
Usher. It was really
Oh,
good. It was really good. One little which didn't happen was his not acceptance award, but his speech for receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. Um Apparently he was using a lot of curse words in his acceptance or in his speech back to everyone, and they believed almost a half, if not more, of the speech. So you really didn't get to hear what he actually said. Apparently, it is available somewhere on YouTube, but you didn't get to really get the essence of what he said,
was he
which was sad.
something?
Huh?
Was he overly excited or something? What? Since when does he curse so much?
Really, he likes using the MF word in his normal vernacular because that's what he was saying. That's what
Yeah.
he was calling everybody. And because he said that one too many times, because it did come out when he started, they didn't bleep him at first. But once he got into it, yeah, you couldn't even hear half what he was saying.
wow, wow.
And
But
you really needed, and you could tell it was a poignant speech he was giving because you could see people were tearing up and shaking their heads. So you saw that he was really touching people by what he said. He did give a tribute. In essence, he talked about giving a tribute to fathers, and even though his father didn't wasn't in his life, which ended up being probably the best thing for him, that that he thinks men should stand up for their children. So that was a lot of what he was saying. So there you go, the BET Awards.
yes. So tonight, everyone, we are doing part two of last week's series, which was titled "Can I Come Out?" We're doing part two, and this week is focused on love, because that's what we should be focused on, is
Absolutely.
love. So we want to bring in Mr. Nicholas Simmons again this week.
Hello. How did I get here? Let's switch that. Hello. Hello. Yeah,
Hello.
round two. How did
Right.
Round
we?
two.
I said it's funny because like the week last week, I didn't. I was honest. Hey, I really am not sure if I want to do this, and now we're here, and because of everything that we were talking about, we had to stop at one point, and then we all were just staring at each other like, so we have to continue this conversation.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think in that after conversation and us just talking about really what that conversation is about, and we're going to touch on some of that again, I hope tonight, talking about safe places and safe people. But it all came down to love, right? It's what we're called to do if you want to get religious, and because we tapped on that, what we're supposed to do just because we're in each other's lives, but what we all also want.
Yeah.
And it all
Mhm.
breaks down to that one simple thing of love and living this life where that's why I think it was so important that when gay marriage was made legal, and all those steps were taken, the hashtag was love wins, because it's not about it's not about anyone else or anything else. It's about love.
It
And if
is
we're all
about
operating that, I'm sorry, that can fix a lot of the problems that we're dealing with. We were just talking about like the Supreme Court, but like I'm scared that right to be to able to love whoever you want
Yes.
We'll go.
is on this ballot.
Yeah.
If you want to believe it or
absolutely,
not,
Absolutely.
absolutely. They're
Absolutely.
taking in
they're
many
going to
states.
reverse
Yeah,
everything that they felt was a liberty and was separating from the church.
Yeah.
We talked about the 10 commandments being put back into schools last week.
Yeah.
And everything is on the line when we don't get out there and vote and say something.
Mhm.
yeah. And that's what needs to happen. I will say this: last week, what everybody didn't see was the after show, and the after show for me was very emotional, very
Right.
emotional. Um, it I have to honestly say I was in tears, and I don't even know what to call it. I don't even know what to call it. I was I apologize to Nicholas. Um, I wish I didn't. Um, this is what I said. I said a parent's job is to create a safe world as best as they can, a safe space. And one of the things that we do, um, we're mama bears, right? And we're always trying to protect our children from people. And one thing that I got last week was that I did not protect my son from people. And I had to really process that. Sometimes we do the best we can, and sometimes the decisions we make, even though we think they're the best decisions at the time, sometimes turns out to not be the best decision. I never thought that the people that I had to protect my son from was the people at the church. I thought the church was going to give my whole family the foundation it needed to grow, to learn about love,
Right.
to learn about the love of God and the power of God. And if we just trusted in Him, that He would work all things together for our good. And we did learn that. But what I didn't know was I wasn't aware of was how much pain by the people who judged and talked and prodded and manipulated the word to the point where he felt unsafe.
Okay, I have to jump in there though, because I know it's in that same breath though. And I remember the conversation we had last week, and it was, I felt all those emotions too. But in that same breath, my parents introduced me to a religion. And I know, I think you know where I'm going to go with this, because I'm big on this to this day. My parents couldn't force me to be in a relationship with God. There's two different things. My parents brought me to the place where they learned their relationship. They brought me, they did what they were taught to do to help grow a relationship. So you introduced me to a religion. The flaw and the issue with religion is people.
That's it.
That's it.
God didn't make religion. He created this. He wanted a relationship. Or am
Absolutely.
I talking to you? Am I believing in you? So I say this now. I have a very great relationship with God.
Amen.
Amen.
I am not a religious person. I
Amen.
don't I don't abide by religion. I don't abide by religion.
Mm-hmm.
I abide by relationship. I listen to God. I can talk to Him from, like, I went to Catholic church. And I got in trouble multiple times when confession always came around, because no one could tell me I have to go to someone to tell God I'm so. What's the difference between me and you?
Right.
And if you're doing this for 50 people in a row and you say you're not writing anything down, how you getting all my prayers that I got? I need you to be specific about what I just told you, because
Come
I'm
on.
gonna be specific in my own prayer.
Come on now.
If I'm gonna get down there and repent, don't half-ass my repentance.
Right, right. Right. Now
That makes no sense. So I learned relationship, but
Yeah, he did get a lot of detentions for that one.
because I had something to say and no one was gonna stop me.
yeah, preach that.
But
Yeah, we were
I
told
learned
Dean had to call us
relationship.
for that one, but that's true.
And
It's I don't think I think the church as it is, like you said, Nick, and that's one of the things I am so happy about is Nick, Ashley, CJ, they all have their own relationships with God. And I think sometimes we learn the most from the I'm a big believer of this, and unfortunately in this situation I am too. You learn the most in pain. And unfortunately, there was a lot of pain there too. And I think they've learned the word, from that, because when they saw something contrary to the word of God, they both Nick and Ashley. CJ was a little younger, so he was like kind of oblivious to a lot of the stuff that was happening, in the terms of what people were saying, what came from the pulpit, all that kind of stuff. But when they heard it, they challenged it, and I always supported their challenges. In the sense where they would come home and tell me, well, you know that's wrong, and and I would say, yeah, you're right. I mean, we would all be in agreement.
And like we would get into arguments because you're not going to tell me. I know, like that's one thing. You can't give me all the answers and then tell me something's wrong.
Right.
If
right.
I have the answer key,
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell me it's wrong. But reason why we talked about, because I was remembering like why this became so prevalent is because you want to go to the church when you need and when you have a question. Like growing up in this religion, especially I say it, the Black church in this culture, you're taught, hey, when you have something, go to your pastor, go to this person, go to the church. That's where you'll find comfort. That's where you'll find refuge. We used to read Psalms 91 every morning before we left the house.
Yeah.
So talking about keeping a secret, a dwelling place, like that was stuff that was ingrained in me.
Yeah.
But how's that the place where I feel the least safe right now with myself, with who I am, with what I'm dealing with? I had people telling me in my ear, I heard this from someone. Let me pray for you now. That loses it. And we're like we wanted to keep this conversation going, and why I was like, let's keep on talking about it is because I'm gonna say as I'm growing up, I'm seeing it in so many different ways and so many different fashions. But where I think a lot of people have dropped the ball in this, with people within this community, is it's either I have to be all or nothing. Like
Right.
I have to fix everything, or I can't be a part of it. And I think that's what a lot of people deal with their parents. It's like when you're coming out with your parents, either your parents is going to full on support you and they're going to the Pride Festival with you the next time it comes around, or you're disowned. Right. You don't hear a lot of the conversations of, okay, cool, I'm not familiar with this. Can you help me understand?
Yeah, yeah. And I always say too, you don't have to understand or agree, you just have to love, right? And
Back to
come
that love. See how it keeps on coming back.
Yeah, but you can come to an understanding when you know how to love, and then you can communicate in a way that's going to allow you to understand. And you don't always have to agree. It's no different than anything else. You don't have to agree. You just have to love. And I was listening to a sermon last week from my church, and the minister was talking about, when your definition is not the same as God's, and how do you get on the same page? And same thing with other people. Your definition of whatever it is may not be the same. But how do we come to an understanding, or how do we say, that term cliche, right? How do we agree to disagree, but love each other through it anyway, right? Because we don't have to be the same. We don't have to like the same things. We don't have to do the same thing. We just have to love.
We just have to love. And another thing that, when we talk about religion and the
LGBTQ.
And you was forgetting it wasn't flowing.
Forgetting the one letter I care about right now.
I know. When you think about, those two in the same sentence, when you say those things in the same sentence, you have to, it's like saying me and God, you and God, the Black people and God, the Chinese people and God, the Asian people and God. It's God. It's people and God.
If you want to get real with it, they used to you weren't allowed in some churches. Sir, you weren't allowed to practice certain religions because if you want to really go back to it, they discriminate against that too. Exactly. It's just the next thing the church has decided to discriminate against. And it's bad when you get to a place where you can say the church has a pattern of discrimination.
Yeah.
A huge pattern of discrimination. I remember during that, ding, ding, where's my bell? Ding. During COVID, right after, and it came out, because Obama became President Obama became president. And a lot of people saw different things start happening. I had a good friend of mine. It's your good friend too. You know, you may know who I'm talking about. She was the church, and it was during COVID actually, started separating, and they finally came out with they didn't want black people in their church anymore. This is a Word of Faith church, and they came right out and said, you know what, because we believe different things, we don't want you in our church no more. And and a few of them were told to leave the church. Like you just said, it doesn't even matter. This is just another thing people are trying to, again, this is the relate what we was talking about with the Supreme Court decision, and what we're talking about today is the same thing. Is that when people don't like what they don't like, they don't want you involved. They don't want you a part of it. They don't want you around.
They create dissension.
They
Yeah.
create dissension.
Time
And then we take that into the church.
something, or
And
it not, like she said, it doesn't sit with well with you, and you don't understand it. Instead of saying I don't understand it and trying to understand it,
Mhm.
you want to create dissension. You want to separate it, and that creates all of the hate,
Mhm.
all
Yeah.
of the
and
judgment.
it's so crazy because like
Diminishes so many of these safe spaces for these different cultures and beliefs
Mm.
and lifestyles, that everybody is at odds.
mm,
And you almost have to choose what you choose anyway, but you have to choose which ones you want to be a part of, or which ones you want to believe, or which ones you want to support,
Mm.
because it's not a choice.
Or choose to love, or choose to like be involved with
yeah,
every,
Right.
no matter
Anything.
what, no matter
Well,
what, because you could
that's to
choose
say
that
you're
too.
not
like
choosing love. You're not
it's and
to
that's where like you said
love.
it starts with hate, right? And like all we're like this episode is about love, right? It's like how do you combat this so much? It's by acting in love.
Hmm.
And so many people are like so against it. I know reason why we wanted to continue it is because like yesterday was the end of Pride Month. Yesterday was New York City's Pride. And seeing people come together like and that's where like also love how like the pride flag has evolved over time, right? It went
Mhm.
from being a rainbow to now having pink in it, now to having black in it and brown in it and all these other different colors because they realize like hey yeah, we all may be LGBTQ plus whatever, but we're also still white, we're black, we're still
Yes.
some of us may not be full like we're all different still in this bond. And I think people have to choose what they want to be an ally to today. It's like okay cool, I don't identify as this but I choose to be an ally for you.
Yes.
But
I
I'm not
like
sure
that
if I
one.
want to be an ally for this one over here. And
Yeah.
like that's where the disconnect happens.
Yeah.
You weren't called to pick and choose who to love.
Yeah.
You weren't called to pick and choose. Like, and you can take this from a situational level. You can take this from a friendship level. You can take this to like a friendship platonic level. This can be in a relationship level. This can be with your relationship with your community, with your church, with anyone. It's love, and love operates differently.
Hmm.
I wasn't called to love the person who I may fall in love with. I didn't point the person who I was in love with out and be like, hey, I'm going to fall in love with you in 2 days.
Mhm, mhm,
I
mhm.
didn't do it. I didn't pick it. It happened.
Hmm.
I didn't pick I didn't like, so it's the same thing for everyone.
Hmm.
It's just not your person. And if it's not your person, get over it. Because
Hmm.
guess what? You don't have to pick them to love them. You just have to show love to them. There's a
Hmm.
difference.
Mm.
And think
And
about Jesus,
I
right?
was
Like about Jesus being he didn't choose to come here
right.
to save our souls. He didn't choose that, right? But he was called to it, and it happened, and he had to deal with it, and he didn't separate anybody,
Right.
right?
Everyone was allowed in. Bring
Every
more.
out in, because that's what it was all about. So if we really think about what they're trying to do in the schools, in politics, right? If they really went back to basics, right, when it
What would be
comes
the
to God,
question? What
huh?
would be the question?
What would Jesus do? That would be the
What would Jesus do? Come on now. Let me say this. One of the things I didn't want to get bring out of this second session was how do parents deal with and create a safer space for their children.
yeah.
Um, and I say this because I learned that I thought I was creating a safer space. I didn't. what would I do differently? I already made those kind of changes in my life. So now maybe I didn't do that when Nick was younger, but now it's a lot safer than it was before in terms of our family unit. And the understanding that my children have is that this don't matter what they do or don't do, they are always part of the family. And I know we have that now, and we're still working on it. We know we're not perfect. We were just talking about therapy for our family, not because of his sexual orientation, because there's a lot of other things that's wrong in our
We
family that we need
crazy.
to.
Let's be honest. We crazy, and that's the other thing. People are scared to get help. I
Yeah.
think because I'm the first person to say go to therapy, please. I will give
Please
you
go
as
to
a friend.
therapy.
I will give you advice and shake you. But sometimes you need to work through it, and I can't be your therapist to work you through it. And I was able to work through some of my stuff before I even came out. So I was in a place where, yeah, it may have rattled me for a second, but it didn't destroy me.
Right, right.
So go get the help you need.
As a kid, and I say this because
Mhm.
I'm thinking childlike. Even if you have, I guess I'm saying this to give you reprieve,
Yeah.
Mimi, because I'm not saying that he probably didn't think, oh, my mother is not going to be okay with this because of what she's doing or what she's believing in her life. But we as children are quick to be like, my mother is going to kill me. My father's going to kill me for so many things. And it doesn't have to be like my lifestyle choices. It can be just, oh, well, I left my book back.
Hey, there's some things. There are some things I got before that.
Comes to those heavy things,
Yeah.
we're thinking they're never going to understand this.
Yeah.
And we've created that thought process in our mind before we even tell you guys or try to come to you and tell you. Even though you may have those parents, I'm sure you were one. I know my mom was one who would say, "You can tell me anything."
But
Now, in the back of
do
my
you as
mind,
children really
I
feel
know
that way?
exactly. I
Yeah.
know she's saying that, but in the front of my mind, I'm like,
Yeah, do I believe that? Yeah,
but I
and I get,
get angry for some other
Yeah,
stuff.
and like I
and I
think we
did,
talked,
and I did
it,
for other stuff.
I think in our after show we kind of talked about that, and yeah, there's sometimes that fear that comes up is, can I really be honest with this person? And I'm not going to get into specifics, but at a time where now I finally was honest with my parents, right? And I'm not a teenager, and I think we said it right. The people today who are doing it when they feel ready and not caring about anyone, blessings to you. Those who still haven't done it or are doing it now, it was did I do it right? Okay, I didn't get the response. Like, how do I feel? And my mom had someone who she got really close to in her life that she put into my life, who I want, like, in two folds. It was two things, right? They loved and respected me, and I know that for without a shadow of a doubt, this person will do anything for me if they can. But I also know this person loves and respects my mother. So because I had that relationship with this person, I was able to go to my mom and say, or go to her and say, okay, cool. Finally came out to my parents. I go, oh, by the way, I'm coming out to you in the same room. Like, we didn't have a prior conversation. I go, I got to tell you something. Hey, I'm bisexual. By the way, I also just came out to my parents 2 nights ago, and I'm losing my mind.
Right.
And I go, it didn't go well. This didn't happen. I'm losing. I have to see them. I don't want to. She goes, okay, stop, pause. What's your biggest concern right now? I go, seeing them this day. This day. She goes, so we're not going. It's okay. You all will survive. You not showing up once.
Right.
Let's get you together. Okay, cool. So now that we know you're not going and that stress is out, and we're not even going to think about that anymore.
Right. Pick it
What
apart.
hurt you about your mom? So let's work through that.
That's right.
Because you know your mother's heart and you know who your mother is. So even though you're not happy in this moment, you know what needs to be said, or you know there needs to be a conversation. So how do you want to have it?
Yeah.
So so, and this is where I was like, safe places are fake. Safe places don't exist. I haven't walked into some place and Like my therapy, I'm sorry, it isn't a safe place. I have anxiety coming here too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. It's not a safe place. I don't
But
believe in safe places
you know
because
what?
there's nothing that can make a safe place. It's people. Do you
But
have
you,
safe people around you and in your life and in your circle?
yeah.
You
But
see,
also,
yeah.
safe space has to be internal.
Ooh.
You know, it has to be in your heart and in your head, and you've
You have
got
to
to know
allow
that
it to
you're
go there.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because then you will put yourself in the places where the other safe people are. But it has,
Mm.
Mm,
you
Mm-hmm.
know, that
that's
really,
so real.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
like how else do you really create a safe place
Hmm.
Yeah.
happening on the inside? It
And
has
part
to
of self
start.
Yeah.
accountability is learning that
Yeah,
first, because
Hmm.
that's the first thing.
yeah.
Well, what do you feel about you?
Like you can't, but it's real.
Hmm.
You can't come out until you acknowledge it yourself.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if it's like it sounds very cliche, but like if I am struggling with accepting who I am,
yeah,
How do I tell the world?
I can't tell the world this is who I am.
That's
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Right.
But that's where you see when a lot of people they come out, there's this confidence that just takes over. There's this difference to their stride, their walk, and it's not because oh now they can finally live their life. It is literally the weight and the stress and the anxiety and the all the fear and
yeah.
the hate that you feel all on top of you
Hmm.
once you don't care about what anyone else may say, think, or do to you, that's when you're ready to come out and that confidence comes because you're lighter. Because you
Yeah,
can just walk now. No
That's a
one's you
side
don't the attacks roll off.
yeah, yeah. And
Because who are you? If you're not with me, then then you're not around me.
yeah,
Like I was gonna say, if you're not
Amen.
with me, you're against me. But know what I also realized in this last couple years? I'm not fighting everyone.
right,
You are not worth my time, my energy, my love, or my hate.
right.
my peace.
That's
So
right.
just move on.
That's right. And as long as you're not against yourself, it's all
Right.
good.
That's
I'm
all
It's
we
all
need.
good.
like, what would you say to a younger person who hasn't had the courage yet? Right? Like, well, what do you say to them? And what do you say to their parents now that you have this freedom?
What I would say, like, I can't say what I would say to someone. I can honest this more truthfully if I can think about if I can go back years and talk to Nick.
Mm.
Right.
Hmm.
Talk to
I
Nikki.
would have I would have probably years ago. I wouldn't have cared what people have thought.
Mm.
That's usually the
And for me to have done that, like if I could go back now, is I wouldn't have put people on pedestals that never deserved them.
okay.
That's
Man,
good.
man, ring that bell.
Like, like I I honored people based off of title, based off of money, based off of status. I people had that I honored them because of it.
Or
And
man.
I gave them that respect. So it challenged my heart because I respect you so much, but you hate me. Your words are so hateful and detrimental towards me. If I could go back, I would say only give love to the people that actually have shown you love.
Mm.
Now
Mhm.
I'm gonna challenge you for that one. Because I'm not gonna say only give love to the people that's giving love to you. Give love to everybody.
Well, okay, wait. Let me two different things. Two different things. Yes, you're called to love. I
Don't know how
I just said it right. I said it too.
yeah.
You're called to love. So I believe you're supposed to love everyone. But
But you
I think that's where I wish I had my Bible on me and I had my notes because I would talk about the different types of love that's talked about in the Bible because that's where the difference comes is I was giving it was what is
know.
it agape love, the love for like towards a father, right? So there was
Mhm.
this and I give that every
No,
time
no,
I
no.
see
That's
father
yeah.
every time I see father, I put mother next to it, right? So like that parental love, that guidance love, that guardian love, right? I gave that to too many people that didn't deserve it.
Well, you know that from like where we how we were reared. We're gonna respect our elders. We're
Yeah,
gonna
and
respect these
but
people
it's
who hold
there was a difference of
but we didn't learn.
respecting someone
Mhm.
and honoring someone through their
Right.
disrespect.
Yeah.
We
Mm.
And
learned.
I honored people while they were disrespecting me, and I went over and over and over and over and over, and it didn't stop.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if I could go back to Nick, I would say, yo, the people that the ones like the one I just talked about, right? The one that your parents put in your life and has taken care of you and has made sure they showed up every year and gave me a birthday gift, and that's the person I should have been confiding in, not struggling going to the person because you everything you have I want to have one day, so let me
Mhm.
learn from you.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's good.
What I can
Mm.
say to a parent is if it's not you, make sure you have people in your kid's space so they feel that comfortability.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because also what we were talking about earlier, like, oh, I'm so scared of mom, and oh, they're gonna hate me for this. And the other part is that's just my mom.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my dad. Like, I don't want to be vulnerable around them. I don't want to. And it wasn't, oh, they're gonna hate me. I'll be honest. What the real thought was, I don't want to feel like a failure in front of them. First thing I
Mm.
heard growing up is, I can't wait for you to have a wife and kids and this and that. But what happens if it's a husband and kids? Like, what if it's, hey, I don't get married and I may adopt because that's the route I just want to take. Like, it's because culture and society puts the norms on you.
Box.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Boxes you
supposed to, if you
into
don't
an
fit in this box,
expectation,
you're
right?
different. If
Yeah.
you don't fit in that box, you have to come out. And
Mhm.
it's going, you have to come out of that box. And coming out of any box, closet, whatever it may be for you, is going to be a struggle when you think about society's norms.
Mhm.
If you are surrounded by people that abide by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
You
freaking
know,
down.
and one of the things I wanted to say also, God has a way. One of the scriptures I live on is God works all things together for our good. At
Jeremiah
the
29:11. I should
Come
maybe
on
say
now,
that a
come on,
couple
preach and
times too.
preach, preach and preach. So
I can quote a scripture now.
you can preach a scripture too. One of the things that and it was at the time when we were leaving the church, and I call it my lonely season. It was about 3 years, and I was asking the Lord to teach me, and He kept me on 1 Corinthians 13 for 3 years. I said, Lord, they got to be another scripture you want me to look at.
Right.
And he
I'm like
refused.
sweating, but I'm really sweating from that one.
He refused to let me go anywhere. What he was doing with my heart in that moment, in those 3 years, was preparing me for my children,
Mm.
without a doubt.
Amen.
So that when the time came for them to tell me whatever they needed to tell me, I was ready for it. And my first reaction was, I will never release you or send you off because of a sexual preference. That was the first thing that came out. The What I also was, and admittedly, me being upset was that they didn't, or they couldn't, or they felt that they didn't want to tell me. That's what hurt me the most. And again, that's what I'm a big believer, that any situation you have in a relationship, any argument you have, there's always two sides, and there's never this person's right or wrong. There's something you contributed to that caused the situation also. Even if you are 99% right, that 1% you did contributed to that disagreement.
It's three. It's there's your truth, their truth, and then the real truth.
The
Real
real
Right?
truth.
Because your
And
perspective is going to be your perspective.
always
Always.
different.
was
Always
right.
different.
It's
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Each individual's
Right,
life.
right.
That's right.
Each and it's how you affect them. So when it came down to that, and one of the things I want to, and what I'm saying with is this, is love is patient, love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful.
Well,
It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in truth. It bears, let me say this one, it bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. So before we put our mouth on somebody, before we turn our eyes, put up our nose,
Right.
think in judgment, think in a hurtful way, think in a negative way, try to think this is what they should do before we put our thought on it. Read once again what love is, and it will shut you down every moment.
Mhm.
And if you really are a believer in God, you will never disrespect, misspeak, put somebody out, tell them not to come back, tell them not to see you again. You would never do that to anybody ever in your life.
Amen. Listen, that's where we should end
Hey,
it.
that sounded like the show
Right.
closeout.
Word right there.
It's what I would say this. It's you guys are, like I said, it's not a safe space, but you guys are safe people. I think going back to the beginning, I didn't want to have this conversation in a public forum. I didn't want to do this, but I felt safe enough with knowing my mama was here, but also knowing it was going to be with Tracy and Chima, like, hey, this is safe. And I go, hey, there's people in my life who are going to see this after the fact, and we'll see whatever happens. And all I got was love from it. So like it's easy to operate in love. It's it's easy to do. It's easy to love on someone.
But for this space, the love was already there.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's what makes it even. That what makes it easier than to do something like this. Right?
absolutely
It's if there's enough love, I can feel like I can be myself around you. That's one thing. But when there's an abundance of it where now I feel confident and strong enough to now share my story and help someone else through this and grow from it and feel like a better person. Like my mom said, the next day I got a text message from my mom talking about our relationship and how she feels now. And she I knew she was feeling some type of way the night before, but I saw the immediate act of love right after, and like that made a difference.
that's
Like
right.
I told y'all, I went to go see Inside Out, and I was like, let me process all my emotions, and I was able to do that because I knew where I was at. I knew I was content, so I knew okay, I'm gonna experience some emotions for a second, but I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning, and I can move forward again, right? In the moment, it may shake you, and I think that's the reality of it. It may shake you in the moment. But when you feel the love and you know yourself enough and you love, right, you have that safe space within yourself where you love yourself enough, one, and then the people around you are also showing you the right type of love. That shake up is you're gonna wake up you're gonna wake up tomorrow morning. You're gonna be okay. The sun is gonna come out tomorrow.
That's it.
Really.
That's it.
Amen. Amen. We love you all out there. We thank you for joining this two-part series of Can I Come Out? And let's show love, everybody. Let's make sure that we continue to show love. We will see you next week right here on Fem Talk at 8:30 p.m.
Love it.